One of the big problems people think about is, holy shit, have I saved enough money to live an extra 20 healthy years? Like, I think living in a Bitcoin world gives you that level of ability and confidence. And I sold my gold and I bought Bitcoin. The World Wide Web solved a lot of issues for conversation communications, but it did not solve the world of financial transactions. We need cryptocurrencies, we need Bitcoin, we need to enable the revolution that's coming in artificial intelligence and AI agents. Right? So what's the world like when we have AI a billion times more capable than us? How do you surf on top of that tsunami of change instead of being crushed by it?
曾被财新选为全球最伟大50位领导者的 Peter Diamandis， 也是全球最创新的大学起点大学的共同创办人，认为 AI 和加密货币将会加速世界的发展，让人类的生活变得更加便利，甚至可能达到永生的状态，而且实体货币将完全消失，这将会是未来的趋势。然而，社会进步的速度越来越快，跟不上 AI 和加密货币发展的人将不得不被淘汰。正当许多人还在担心比特币会不会是诈骗，或是疑惑量子计算是否会击败比特币时，为什么 Peter 反而认为比特币将会是未来最安全的财务避风港？并且预测到2040年将有100亿个机器人改变世界的运行方式。那现在我们该如何提早准备？如何掌握这波数位革命，抢占先机，让自己的财富提升一阶？今天的影片一次告诉你。嗨，我是 Emma， 带你在币圈趋势中打造属于自己的被动收入。在我们开始前，可以请你帮个忙吗？ YouTube 后台显示有 72% 的观众还没订阅频道。如果你喜欢我们的影片，免费支持我们的方式就是点下订阅按钮，每周日都能收到币圈最新的消息，更不会错过任何的财富密码哟。谢谢。
So I first heard about Bitcoin actually on the stages of Singularity University. So I had started Singularity University with Ray Kurzweil back in 2008, 2009, right? And so this was a university whose mission it was to educate people about exponential technologies, computation, sensors, networks, AI, robotics, 3D printing, synthetic biology, AR, VR, and just at the beginning, blockchain. And back in 2012, 2013, this Bitcoin thing started popping up from our different faculty speaking about it. And I wish I could say I was one of the people who just, dropped a few $1,000s on Bitcoin back then, but that wasn't me. It was 2014 where I finally got religion. I went on CNBC because I put out, I don't know if it was a tweet or whatever, saying I sold my gold and I bought Bitcoin. And I became a believer in the vision, definitely not heavily enough, but the logic train. So one of the things that I teach, and I write about in my books, and I teach at Singularity University, is I call the 6 Ds of exponentials. And this is the roadmap by which you predict the future. The first is everything that can be digitized will be digitized. Biology, manufacturing, transportation, finance, all these things. And you're turning physical things into ones and zeros. And when you digitize something, what occurs next is very slow growth. It's deceptive is the second D. So, the first digital camera from Kodak took 0.01 megapixel images. The next year it took 0.02, then 0.04, then 0.08. All look like zero. And it's deceptive. You're not noticing it. But 10 doublings later, something's 1,000 times better. 20 doublings, it's 1,000,000. 30 doublings, it's 1,000,000,000 times better. And what we see is that when you digitize something, it dematerializes. Physical things go away. They become bits and apps and so forth. And when you digitize something, the cost of replicating it and distributing it is near zero. So it's digitize, you dematerialize, the physical things go away, you demonetize, and you democratize. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, the last D is you disrupt. And so I talked about how Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrencies are the perfect example of the 6Ds. And so that was the earliest conversations. I wrote a book in 2012 called Abundance, the Future is Better Than You Think. It was a number 2 New York Times bestseller. I wish I could say it was number 1, but there was some romance novel that beat me out, I think. And so I first started thinking this way, an exponential mindset, right, back then. And Bitcoin was the perfect overlay. And then I started accumulating, I would say, in 2017 as it was beginning to peak, and then when it dropped. And, I bought Bitcoin yesterday. And so it's something which I'm absolutely clear that it will continue to grow and will be the asset class that I'm using for the rest of my life, especially as the speed of technology, as AI and AI agents begin to materialize, this needs to exist. And it does exist, and there'll be lots built on top of it. So, every time I get free capital, I sweep it into Bitcoin.
Peter 在《胆大无畏》一书中有详细说明指数型发展的6个 D， 其中让我印象最深刻的就是传统相机龙头柯达，因为小看这6个 D， 最终导致灭亡的故事。其实柯达曾有一位员工研发出全球第一台数位相机，这就是第一个 D， 数位化 Digitalization。 但公司觉得没什么，选择专注于原本的胶片市场，所以没有继续发展。这就是第2个 D， 欺骗期 Deception。 柯达不做，不代表 Canon、Nikon、Sony 不做。渐渐的，大家发现数位相机可以立刻看照片，还能无线拍摄，太方便了，而变成主流。这就是第3个 D， 破坏 Disruption。 2007年，随着越来越少人用传统相机，柯达业务开始亏损，这就是第4个 D， 消灭营收 Demonetization。 最终在5年后破产，成为时代的眼泪，并且传统的相片冲洗等服务都渐渐消失。这就是第5个 D， 消灭实体 Dematerialization。 到了2025年的现在，甚至连手机都可以轻易拍照，这就是第6个 D， 大众化 Democratization。 关键是指数型发展不仅限于相机，像是打败 Nokia 的 iPhone 手机，取代计程车的 Uber， 取代饭店的 Airbnb， 以及市值超过100亿的比特币。特别的是，即便美国在2024年通过比特币现货 ETF， 新总统川普大力支持比特币，但目前还是有人认为比特币是诈骗。针对这个问题 ，Peter 怎么看呢？
I show them the chart of the price over the last 15 years. And I explain it is a asset class that cannot be I wish I could bring my inner Mike Saylor to bear right now, but every other asset is depreciating, or because we're either producing more gold, or producing more currencies, real estate is being taxed away. This is the one category that stands on its own and is appreciating over the centuries ahead. And a lot of the people I hang out with right now are focused on, what's it going to be like when I'm 120 or 150? How do you build a financial structure around yourself that's going to be here and enable you to live an extra 20, 30, 40 years? And I think Bitcoin solves that. I'm also, half my life is in longevity, half my life is in AI. And, the World Wide Web solved a lot of issues for conversation communications, but it did not solve the world of financial transactions. And we need cryptocurrencies, we need Bitcoin, we need to enable the revolution that's coming in artificial intelligence and AI agents. One of the big problems people think about is, holy shit, have I saved enough money to live an extra 20 healthy years? Like, my accountants are saying I should save enough money to get me to 80. Well, fire those accountants and fire those real estate, those estate planners. You really want to have the ability to not worry about your finances. And I think, living in a Bitcoin world gives you that level of ability and confidence to have those extra decades. If I said to you, Natalie, okay, you have 20 extra years, what would you do with it?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think that we are, I think that there's something to be said about us being at our full potential when we give back, when we're of service to others. So I would want to figure out the best way to use my passions to help people, because I feel like it would feel more fulfilling. Like I would feel like I led a better life and made a difference.
Yeah, and I think that's super important, right? Because a lot of the elements of meaningful life and purpose isn't what you get. It's how you can help others. How when I have two 13-year-old boys and I tell them, your mission is to leave this world better than you found it. To uplift humanity. That's one of the most important thing we can all do. If we all do that, the world gets a hell of a lot better, a lot faster. We're in the midst of the most extraordinary time ever to be alive. And I think Bitcoin is the new capital structure that must exist as we head into this warp speed, this hyperspeed. I was talking to Ray Kurzweil, and Ray's considered one of the greatest thinkers of our time in the field of AI. In 1999, he predicted that we would reach human-level intelligence by 2029, 30 years out. Everyone laughed at him. His predictions are very famous. If you Google Ray Kurzweil predictions, he's got an 86% accuracy rate on his predictions from all his books. And one of his predictions is that we will reach longevity escape velocity, meaning a point at which longevity is adding, for every year that you're alive, science is extending your year for more than a year. And his prediction was we'd get there by end of the year 2030. Others who I trust ping it as mid-2030s, late 2030s. It's the next 15 years. It's not forever away, right? So what's the world like when we have AI a billion times more capable than us? But Ray Kurzweil said, listen, we're going to see more technical progress in the next decade, 2025 to 2035, than we've seen in the entire past century, 1925 to 2025, right? That's the speed at which things are accelerating.
It's crazy.
And so how do you surf on top of that tsunami of change instead of being crushed by it? And that's the stuff I love thinking about, because we're going to reinvent every industry, everything. And it's going to be amazing.
假设逃逸速度是指当医疗技术进步的速度快过于人类老化的速度时，人类可以持续活着，达成永生的状态。这就像是我们在海里快要溺水时，有人给我们救生圈，才不会溺死，争取活命的机会。随着救生工具越来越多，代表我们更安全，直到完全被救上岸。但人类的寿命无限延长真的是件好事吗？我认为如果有健全的财务当然是好事，如果没有那就未必了。因为随着全球人均寿命增长，但出生率却在急速下降。过去的观念努力工作到65岁就退休完全不适用于现在，而是改成未来还能退休吗？几岁才能退休？全球资产管理龙头贝莱德执行长 Larry Fink 曾提出警告，由于生活成本持续上涨，大多数人恐怕无法在65岁前退休，所以延后退休年龄变成多国的共识。原本各国的法定退休年龄在60到65岁之间，近期调整后大多提高到65岁以上。日本、新加坡等国甚至预计调整到70岁。更可怕的是，日本竟然有高达 28.5% 的退休族零存款。那退休后要吃什么喝什么？最后只好打零工赚点生活费，依靠少少的政府津贴为生，成为下流老人。想到就觉得好可怕哦，也难怪巴菲特会说，如果没办法在睡觉时也能赚钱，你就会工作到死掉的那一天。如果我们多活几年，只是为了多辛苦工作几年，那又有什么意义呢？活着的意义不就是能好好享受生活吗？那我们该怎么做呢？从现在开始打造被动收入，让金钱帮我们工作， 才能更好享受延长的寿命。我在2021年开始投资币圈，历经市场好坏，尝试过各种方法，最后在币圈发现唯一一种真正能帮我赚到钱的被动收入，那就是放贷。透过将资金借给交易员，每天就能赚到稳定的利息，报酬率高于股票，但风险远低于交易合约。最重要的是，实现了让金钱帮我们工作，不再担心会不会要工作到70、80岁，也不用担心手机通知币价暴跌亏钱，而是每天睡到自然醒，等着收利息、喝咖啡。非常感谢放贷，更加速实现了我当初想投资的目标，脱离有毒的职场环境，成功开除老板。最开心的地方是，当我将这套方法分享给其他投资者后，来自台湾、杜拜、香港的上班族们也都成功在币圈打造一份被动收入，一起实现躺平赚钱的目标。去年我还受邀到香港分享这段投资经历，希望能避免新手再犯下我过去的错误，不用走弯路就能在币圈投资赚钱，过上每天睡到自然醒的生活。所以我准备了一个45分钟的免费影片，分享自己是如何从什么都不懂的投资新手，到现在成功打造一份稳定安心的被动收入。你可以在资讯栏的第一条链接中找到，并且限时免费加送投资比特币胜率 99% 的秘密，相信一定能帮助你打造被动收入更顺利哦。
As computing advances and accelerates, they're going to crack Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has some sort of vulnerability. How do you answer those questions?
Yeah. So listen, I have been asking that question myself of every smart quantum computer scientist I know, Jack Hittery, who runs Sandbox AQ, Hartmut Nevin, who runs Quantum at Google. And I think thus far, everybody feels very safe and assured. But here's the interesting thing. If there was ever a capacity that quantum computation and quantum algorithms could crack various codes, Bitcoin is the last thing to worry about. Why? Because you could crack every financial institution on the planet, right? I mean, it's like the amount of capital that's inside all the banks worldwide far outstrips what's in the cryptocurrency world. So why aren't you worried about that? So yes, I think there's so much at stake that whether it's quantum encryption or other protective mechanisms, that, yeah, if it all happens, everything's over anyway. So, enjoy yourself. No, I just don't mean that. But I'm not worried about it. I think AI is going to if people feel like the world is moving fast, right? You agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We ain't seen nothing yet. We're about to see the world go into hyperspeed, and that is going to be enabled by AI and by various tokenizations of our assets and our currencies. I think there's going to be more wealth created in the next decade than we've seen in the past century. It's going to be amazing.
Our first trillionaires, I bet.
而且很有可能就会在 AI 和区块链中诞生。所以，如果你也想搭上这波科技趋势，增加自己的财富，我准备一份比特币懒人包，总结我过去4年在比特币投资中的成功与失败经验，分享了正确的投资心态和实用步骤。你可以在资讯栏的第2条链接中找到。目前已有超过500人领取，早早享受到了投资的回报。只要花3分钟看完，说不定你的财富阶级就会往上跳了。
If you were to predict what the world will look like in 2050,
oh my God.
What is that vision?
It's really hard. It's hard to predict what the world, I was hoping you'd say 2030, because 2050 is like infinitely away. I mean, 25 years from now is going to represent something like the difference between the Middle Ages and today. I kid you not. I mean, that's what we're going to see in terms of accelerations. So have we uploaded our brains? Have we gone to the star systems? Have we become a fully digitized and virtualized society? I mean, those are the order of magnitude of elements that I imagine. I think from the perspective of our conversation today, we will be into a a completely, the idea of physical money and fiat currency will be gone, period. I think we'll be living in a fully digitized, Bitcoin-based economy. I have very little expectations of anything else. In terms of human longevity, by 2050, 25 years from now, I think we'll have reached by a long shot, by a long margin, longevity escape velocity. So people routinely living significantly past 100 years old. In the lab today, you can regrow. Well, the technology by 2030 will be here to regrow a heart, liver, lung, kidney. I just saw technology yesterday to go from a skin cell, turn it into a pluripotent stem cell, and regrow a clone of yourself. And you can regrow a clone with a particular genetic alteration that doesn't grow a head. So you're not thinking about but it's going the organs. So you need a backup set of organs like that. We'll have been able to connect the human brain, right? We have 100 billion neurons, 100 trillion synaptic connections that are everything we see, hear, feel, know. We'll have connected that with the cloud by mid-2030s, which means that, in the same way that my cell phone here, when it needs to do something complicated, it isn't done on the phone. It goes to the edge of the 5G network. The work gets done there, and the answer gets put into my phone. So our brains will be connected with the cloud. And if you want to understand quantum physics or, look at the entire sum total of Bitcoin's history and correlate it with, the temperature of the planet, whatever you want, you can think that, and then the computation in the AI systems in the cloud will give you those answers. By 2040, it's predicted to have 10 billion humanoid robots on the planet. What will it be by 2050? I don't know. A lot of incredible, flying cars, autonomous cars, genetic engineering, disease will be gone. No question about that. The idea of cancer will be long gone. And genetic diseases will have been extracted and removed. We can do that now with CRISPR edits, but it's just at the earliest stages. It's expensive. It'll get much cheaper and become available everywhere. There's a magical world coming our way. For me, it's one of the most exciting times ever to be alive.
天哪，2050年的世界也太神奇了吧！只要一个念头就可以得出答案，也太方便。你最期待哪些未来技术呢？另一方面，我也越听越害怕，会不会衍生出更多的问题？我也好奇大家对未来科技的看法，是会帮助人类过得更幸福，还是让人类过得更痛苦呢？欢迎在底下留言分享你的看法。我是 Emma， 还会继续分享关于币圈投资被动收入的经验。记得按赞、订阅、开启旁边的小铃铛，并打开全部，还有 follow 我的 IG 哦，那你就不会错过这些知识了。我们下周见，拜拜。